have this 14-year-old girl that is in a coma. She was very, very ill.
يعني حالتهم وايد صعبة.
Without a liver transplant, she would probably die within a few hours. We really did not know what was going to happen. The patient will not survive.
Breathing was supported by a machine, and her organ support needed a lot of medicines.
In this case, we really saved the life of this kid.
I will remember that day very clearly, probably for a very long time. It was a Friday afternoon, and I received a call from an outside hospital saying that we have this 14-year-old girl that is in a coma and probably needs a liver transplant.
طفولتهم صعبة، كل أسبوعين في مستشفى يدخلون، مرة فاطمة مرة رقية، ودي يزيد حالتهم ونفس الإصفار يعني ويهم إصفار. رقية دخلت في غيبوبة وما توقعنا رقية تعيش.
So she was airlifted here with a helicopter and landed on our roof and was brought immediately to the intensive care unit, and there she was in a coma, needing a liver transplant.
So we then worked on transferring her quickly to Cleveland Clinic, and our initial assessment confirmed the initial impression that we had that she truly did have acute liver failure.
We understood right away there was an emergency situation. We started looking for a donor because we understood that the only chances for her to survive was to perform a liver transplant.
When I saw Raqeya, she was very ill. She was sleeping. She was on a breathing machine. Her breathing was supported by a machine, and her organ support needed a lot of medicines.
Raqeya at that point was asleep. She could not communicate with us. She was very, very ill. And if we had not transplanted her within a few days, she would not have been able to survive.
The only treatment that we have, it's surgical. It's the liver transplant.
That is, they have a few hours or just a handful of days to live before we have the time to perform a transplant.
We started looking for a donor right away when we realized that this was the situation.
And we were fortunate enough to get a liver for her right at that moment.
We were very, very happy about this. A deceased donor became available to her a few hours after her arrival here.
And we were then able to successfully transplant her within 48 hours of arrival, thereby saving her life.
We were able to find a donor within the probably 24 hours since the kid arrived to our hospital.
Obviously, having a 14-year-old child with liver failure is a very distressing situation for the parents. So it took a little while for them to comprehend the enormity of what was happening.
It was very difficult for them to understand that if she was not to get a liver transplant, she was not going to survive.
They were extremely scared of possible outcomes of the situations, but they were trusting us. They put the life of their daughter in our hands, and they trusted the process. They trusted what we advised them to do.
As so happened, there was a donor that was exactly her blood type. So we very quickly were able to allocate the liver to her and get her transplanted.
So when we get offered organ from potential deceased donors, We do a careful assessment of the donor. And it's a very thorough, careful assessment to ensure that the donor is suitable to be a liver donor. And we were able to quickly determine that this donor would be a suitable match for Raqeya.
It was very clear to everybody who was taking care of her that without a liver transplant, she would probably die within a few hours.
رقية زادت حالتها بعد حين عمرها 14 زادت حالتها وايد يعني.
Family, they obviously had the experience with the previous child that had lost her life due to liver failure.